can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet.
Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Akos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Akos.
Hello, hello, hello. How are we doing out there all across this great land of ours and around the world? It's that time. Once again, time for the Conservative Syndicate, coming to you live right here, coast to coast and around the world. Prime time, someplace, all the time. And we love to. We're glad that you're with us today. Belated Happy Father's Day, seeing as it was yesterday. And Sunday, we're not on the air on Sunday, but coming into today, any one of you out there who's a father, well, let's say any one of you out there who's a dad, Happy Father's Day. Anybody can be a father. Take someone special to be a dad. So we're glad. We wish you a happy Father's Day. Hope your day was pleasant. Hope you got whatever it is you wanted. If in my house, it was peace and quiet. It was great. Father's Day, everybody was gone. Everybody was gone. That's a perfect Father's Day for me. I got to sleep in, watch some movies I wanted to watch, and get some work done that I wanted to get done. Yeah, great day for me. Having said that, let me get on Joe, another great father. How you doing tonight, Joe?
I'm all right there, John.
I am sick and tired.
We came out of the White House not only dead broke, but in debt.
I am sick and tired.
What difference at this point does it make?
I am sick and tired.
Oh, jeez. There she is again, man.
Yeah. It's like
I unlocked the front door. I have weapons just sitting there, and they're just lazy pieces of metal and wood. They just sit there, and she can still get into my computer like that.
Well, you know, we spent most of last week trying to put together different elements of the gun control strategy of the left.
Yeah, it's a strategy simple. Take them away from the American public.
Yeah, well, not actually take them away. Get the American public to surrender them.
Well, they'd like to take them away, but
well, eliminate them. And you know, the first way to do it is, of course, try to get people to voluntarily do it. But if you get enough power, if you get enough influence, using all the other things, and here's kind of like, I guess, the initial point I would want to make about this, is that if you can score in other areas, as this administration has done, as the left has been doing successfully with very little opposition from the Republican Party over the last 40, even 50 years, and you get enough power, you get enough clout where you can win, you can score some victories where maybe an establishment-type Republican goes, it's not a big issue, not a big deal, give them that one. But you build up clout with the public each time you win one of these things, and what happens is eventually you come to the place where the opposition, the people that would destroy this republic of ours, are the ones that are given the credibility. They're the ones that everybody's looking at going, hey, you know, these are the ones that are really looking out for us. That kind of thing, you know. And that's what they've been doing the last 40, 50 years. Little by little, step by step, just like a terrorist cell, waiting for the moment to pounce, you know, and willing to sometimes take a couple steps back, but knowing, we gained some ground, that kind of stuff. And so we tried to spend last week doing that, talking about several of the elements of gun control itself. Today or this week, we want to spend time putting all these elements together to give you a cohesive view of what the DNC platform is going to look like in this campaign season, the general campaign season, the general election campaign season, and what it would look like should Hillary Clinton end up in the White House. or whoever ends up taking her place should she get indicted. That's looking like a little bit more of a pipe dream every day, too, some of the things that we're hearing. But, it's still a possibility right now. So we're just kind of...
Depends on, do you even hear anything about it anymore?
Yeah, and it's all because the left has once again succeeded in taking what we call a third plank or a third rail issue, and that's gun control, moving it to the top of the nation's agenda as something that needs to be dealt with right now. Something that for 241 years has been sitting out there, nobody making a really big deal about it. Exception being, a couple of times it's reared its ugly head. But, for all intents and purposes, especially since I believe it was 2008 when the Supreme Court just basically said, hey, everybody's got the right to own a gun. It's lied dormant. But it is a key plank in the Marxist, communist, socialist platform to remove the bearing of arms from its citizens so that you can't resist or you cannot stand against anything that the government wants to inflict upon you at a given point in time. So what we're going to try to do this week is put all these things together and actually show you or build the Democratic platform, the DNC platform, which you'll see coming up in, I believe it's July. July, I think, is their convention.
Yeah, it's next month.
Yeah, next month. And
next month in Philadelphia, and they will have a wall built to keep people out, or is that to keep people in? But they're going to have a huge fence around the convention hall.
Yeah, because, Barack Obama, I guess the only fence he doesn't want is one protecting our border. Because,
that's correct.
Yeah.
How, and I also want you to watch, and I want people to notice something. Whenever they look at a picture of the White House and the grounds surrounding the White House, what you will see is people walking around with actual, no kidding, assault rifles.
Oh,
not this made up crap that they're talking about for Orlando. I mean, these people talking about you can put grenade launchers on AR-15s. Really? Okay. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, AR-15s is the approved platform for carrying nuclear warheads.
I mean, and then Tom Brokaw said, "Well, I'm a gun owner. I'm an expert. I got them AR-14s." Oh yeah, Tom, you got that imaginary made up AR-14 weapon that doesn't exist. There is no AR-14. You butts.
Yeah, you're right. So
these people are experts at. All they are experts are trying to rob you of your freedom and liberty. And that goes not just for the government. That's those people that you see on television every day. If you're watching television, it might as well be the cavity-inducing thing for your cranium because you're nothing but sucking out to your brains.
Yeah, well, they are masters. They are experts at propaganda. And that's what we're talking about here. The narrative. We're going to spend time today talking about the narrative, the actual narrative, and where it's come from. See, a lot of people right now may think that, this is they're just squawking. It's just, left out there just squawking again. They're not going to do anything. But when we're going to present to you some evidence here that reinforces everything else that we say on this show about the leftist narrative. They have been controlling the narrative for the last 40, 50 years and doing it almost unopposed, but especially in the last 8 years, virtually unopposed by anybody in the Republican Party.
Thanks for that. Yeah, thanks to that great body known as the Republican-controlled Congress. Right,
and more worried about their own asses than they are about anything else that's going on, and that's what the big issue with the Republican Party right now. We don't want to do anything that's going to threaten our Senate majority. What good's the Senate majority if you never use it?
Please send us more money. Send us money so we can help fight for you conservative values.
Yeah. Of course, those conservative values have been redefined to mean anything but conservative values.
Yeah, anything Barack Obama wants, basically.
Yeah, and conservative values in out of the mouths of most Republicans today is just homophobic, cultural, racist hate, bigotry. By that extremist, that right-wing extremist group that just wants to take control of everything. Us Nazis out here. that kind of stuff.
Take control over everything. Instead of just leave us the hell alone. Quit butting into my everyday life. Reason why my toilet I have to flush it 19 times because I had the federal agency dictate that it can only use 3.5 drops of water per flush.
Yeah. We have out here in the news over the weekend. They were emphasizing that California is out here. We're in a 5-year drought. 5-year drought.
And that was 10 years ago.
Yeah. Started 5 years ago. And a lot of it, they're blaming the latest fire out here. Big fire up in Santa Barbara. I know Joe mentioned it last week, and I was like, geez, I don't remember. I don't know. Where's that fire at? Well, it's in Santa Barbara. That's why I haven't seen it quite yet. It's about 100 miles away from me. So, but we'll probably get some of the smoke down here sooner or later.
Eventually, yes, you will.
Yeah. So anyway, hey, so that's what we're going to try to do this week. We're going to try to really talk about how the platform is going to look by putting all these elements together. So right now, though, we got to take a break, and when we come back, we'll get into today's festivities. Don't you go anywhere. Yeah. You're here by divine design. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right back.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360.
Time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. problem. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And, excuse me, let's get into our talk for the week here, because this is going to be kind of lengthy. It's going to take probably most of the week to get through this, as it took most of the week last week just to lay out the different elements that we're talking about this week. It's kind of like, you know, that's one of the things with these issues. They get so complicated, I think intentionally, that you really have to sort through all the noise to get to what's really relevant within a certain issue or not. And of course, the noise with gun control is that, you know, it's necessary for public safety. You know, we've got to do more to prepare our children for the future. We've got to teach everybody to be accepting and tolerant and loving and the great society, you know, and influence the world and all the other crap. That's all the noise. The element that we're talking about, though, is the government either by force taking our guns away from us, destroying the Second Amendment, or getting us to just willfully surrender our guns, rendering the Second Amendment useless. You know, if you don't have any guns, what do we need a constitutional amendment that says you have the right to bear arms if everybody agrees that we shouldn't be bearing arms? You know, that's pretty simple, and that's been the way the left has worked in a lot of areas throughout the last 4 or 5 decades.
Yeah, as opposed to actually, okay, let's put it up for an actual vote.
Right. Let's ratify the Constitution by going through the process. Let's debate the issues by actually bringing them to the floor. Let's put the bills and the legislation out there for people to actually look at and have enough time to actually go through these things and look at them from the legal, constitutional aspects and what the fallout of implementing them might be. Let's not do that. Let's spend our time just basically dumbing the public down.
By saying statements like, everybody wants this, because everybody doesn't want that.
Right. Or the majority of people want this, or the majority of Americans want this. Maybe the majority of Americans in your little ideological group, okay, but not across the board. But it's like everything else. Let me use the simplest example I can think of. Healthcare. And we hear, and we've been hearing for decades now, this argument that Europe has the best healthcare system, that the people in Europe love their healthcare system, and the only reason we don't want healthcare like that, or like the Europeans have, is because of the greedy pharmaceutical companies and the corporations that make so much money off of the backs of the people that are out there that need the healthcare, that kind of stuff. That's the narrative, okay? But nobody talks about the fact that the reason healthcare is, or let me put it this way. Nobody talks about the fact that the reason the Europeans love their healthcare system is because they've never had anything else. And let's talk about, since World War II, it's been drilled into them, punched into them. The government, healthcare is a right. The government, it's their obligation. It's their obligation. So when you talk to somebody from the European Union over in that neck of the woods, and you talk to them about healthcare, they have nothing to measure it against. Well, we do. We have a healthcare system that, for the most part, has been run through the private sector. And now they want to nationalize it. But we have a model. We can look at the European model, and we can lay it against ours. And if you got the IQ of seaweed, you see that nationalized healthcare is not great. Why? Well, look at what Obamacare has done. It's reduced the quality of the services you get so that they can spread it around more. And it costs more than they ever said it was going to cost. And it's continuing to cost more than it's ever. And what will happen is more people are going to end up without it because they're not going to be able to afford it than those who could afford it, even though it was expensive before.
And it's mandatory, and you can be fined for not having it.
Right. And so at what point in time, knowing the way leftists think, at what point in time do we start saying, if you think you're right to decide what kind of health care program you want, if you think it's your right to keep your doctor if you want to keep your doctor, or keep your health care plan if you want to keep your health care plan, you are a threat to the rest of the common good out there. You need to be eliminated.
And here's what we need to do. You're not allowed to fly anywhere. We're going to put you on the no-fly list.
That's right, because you might take that disease with you, whatever it is. Your restless leg syndrome. You might inflict it upon everybody else on the aircraft. Everybody might get off that plane with restless leg syndrome. And I say that because every time I fly, I have restless leg syndrome because I can't get into the goddamn seat.
So, yeah, they're not made for you.
They're not made for me.
Actually, they're not made for anybody that's human.
No, they're certainly not made for anybody over 100 pounds. That's for sure. So,
no, they'd be all right if you could fold up like one of them seats.
I'm one of these guys that have to get the extensions on the seatbelt. They don't even make the seatbelts long enough. It's like going into the stores. You go into the stores, and where do they put the stuff for fat people? They put it on the bottom shelf. Like we can reach down there, for crying out loud, So
here's my tip for you: always get an exit row seat. Then,
yeah, if I want to talk about not being accepted by society, if I want to talk about special rules and regulations, yeah, maybe I should get together a fat white guy society and go out and start protesting. Hey, put the XXX stuff on the top shelf so we can reach it. All right, and quit using the material that nobody else would ever wear to make our clothes.
Yes, quit making shirts out of these circus tent material.
Yeah, I go out and I see these really cool shirts. I've been trying to find this Bob Marley shirt, and there's this one shirt I saw out there that had a Bob Marley on the front. I love Bob Marley, and I'm like, I've gone through every Walmart within a 50-mile radius of my home trying to find this shirt in my size, and can't do it. I'm like, well, I'll even pay the extra couple bucks because Walmart charges you a couple bucks if you go beyond 2X. I'm like, yeah, I'll pay that. Well, we don't have your size. Well, geez, come on. Do you not think that fat people don't like Bob Marley?
What they're trying to tell you, John, just like they're telling you you should not have salt in your diet.
I shouldn't be obese. That's what they're trying to tell me. Well, yeah. If you lost 100 pounds, yeah. If I lost 100 pounds, yeah, okay. That ain't going to happen, though. I have the right to be fat if I want to be fat, for crying out loud, So anyway,
says you.
I'm digressing here. Digressing.
We should probably move on to our actual topic today.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. So anyway,
6 minutes before the break.
Yeah. Well, what I want to kick off here is the narrative.
Yes, the narrative.
Okay, let's talk about the narrative. The narrative is everything in politics today.
Guns are bad.
Yeah, you control the narrative. You control the public. Because the media, if you can get the media to side with your narrative, the media is going to do everything they can to put that out there. I was listening over the weekend, like I said, Father's Day. I watched documentaries on the rise and fall of Adolf Hitler.
Ooh.
And I'm telling you, I was shaking at one point when I started seeing the similarities between not what Adolf Hitler was about, but what he was able to accomplish and the way he was able to accomplish it.
How he used the system to get it done.
Right. He used the system to destroy the system, and how he was able to almost single-handedly get a country with a huge population to follow him without question. It was like nobody even stopped to think about what this guy was doing. And by the time people began to figure it out, they had no control over it.
Well, let me say this right now. Some people did figure it out. They were watching from afar. But you know who loved him? Our media at the time, our press. We didn't have television at the time, but we had radio, we had newspapers, and those were the dominant sources of media in those days. Mm-hmm. And they just loved the guy.
Oh, yeah.
Look at Time Magazine. He was one of their persons of the year.
Yeah, Goebel, he turned media into an art form. I mean, there's probably, I can't think of anybody better at what he did and the way he was able to manipulate the media to go along with what was going on, and how they were able to take even the most negative events and turn it into something that glorified Germany, and glorified Hitler. It was that's the part of it that sent chills up my spine. It wasn't the Holocaust or anything else, that's although I related the Holocaust, I'm saying, this is kind of like what the Christian church is going through today, and what the final solution is something the left would love to put upon us, but it was the ability to manipulate the media and the susceptibility of the general public just to buy it hook, line, and sinker. And it was one of the documentaries I was watching was The Diary of Anne Frank. They did a documentary on Anne Frank. And, she wrote this diary about everything that was going on. And then they would tie in historical events to what she was writing in her diary. And it was chilling, just chilling, at how quickly the entire public jumped on board the Nazi machine, and how quickly they just went along with this idea of singling out the Jews as the problem. And let's equate it to what we have out here today. The Christian church is the problem. The conservatives are the problem. Those of us that believe on the very principles on which our republic was established, we are now the problem. And you think about that, and you think about how not just complicit, but how participant the media is in all this. Excuse me. And it's I don't know. It's chilling. It's chilling when you can put things like this, and you just say. I remember sitting there at one point watching it and just mumbling to myself, "Oh my God, this is like history repeating itself all over again." Yeah, we don't have Obama standing up there, Sig Heil or anything like that. But the results are the same. The results are the same. The people, the actual citizenry of this country, this republic, the people that would be willing to die for this republic, to defend it, are the ones being targeted. And the ones that don't want anything but everything handed to them are the ones willing to pull the trigger. It's just amazing, just amazing. So... the narrative. It's all about the narrative. And one of the things, I had mentioned this briefly last week, and I'll mention it briefly right now, is this article that came out of New York Post. Obama's final days show his true socialist agenda. See, I started a show in 2007. We knew, 3 months into starting my show, I knew where this was going. Okay, this guy is a stealth socialist. Turns out to be a stealth Marxist, but you get my drift. And I'm like, okay, this is not going to be a good thing should he be able to pull this off. I thought it would be good that he was elected so it would expose him. But I didn't know that half the country had already decided to join up. That's the scary part. That's the chilling part. And all we're doing now is just trying to offer resistance to it. And the country is just as divided, if not more so, today than it was 8 years ago. So there we are. There we have it. But it's all been about the narrative. We'll talk about that just briefly here to get into some of the other talking points. But I really need to reiterate the fact that the narrative is everything. Facts, figures, whatever they throw out there, whether they're real or not, whether they're fabricated or whatever, whether they're skewed or whatever. And then just the general concept, as Joe said, the ability of the media to paint this picture that the majority of Americans are on board with all this. That's how they've been able to control the narrative. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest. Who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at nature'syouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923 and like them on Facebook and you'll be included in contest and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or nature'syouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame he owed money to the IRS and they finally caught up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get to Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, and bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474.
All right, hey, we're back. You're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And we have with us right now Bob Cardosa from Robert Cardosa Live, doing his segment. I believe today we normally would be in his show, but Bob is calling in today, running archives on his side of the platform tonight. How are you doing today, Bob?
Hey, I'm doing great, John. Thanks for asking. You know what? I'm looking forward to having a fruitful 20 minutes with you.
Well, we try our best. We try to get some fruit out of this, even though sometimes it's dehydrated and dried. But
Oh man, you talk about dehydrated and dry. It's 108 out here.
Yeah, I was just telling Joe before the show here, and here in Norwalk, we seldom get above 95. Mm-hmm. Normally 95 is a really hot day out here. Yesterday out here, Father's Day, was 105 here in Norwalk.
Yeah, isn't that? But you know what? That's what the humidity. That's what the humidity level is where Joe is at.
Yeah.
Put your wine in. It's fine.
And then my granddaughter is down in cheer camp down in Palm Springs all week, and she sent us. We've seen some pictures of her, and she's Filipina, and she already looks. Her skin tone has changed immensely in just 2 days. It's like I'm like I almost didn't recognize her. Like, what are you doing?
Oh yeah, I've got a good buddy that's in Phoenix, and it's 118 there yesterday.
Yeah, I can imagine what down in that neck of the woods. Anyway,
it's the desert. What did you expect? It's the desert.
No, I live in a desert. John lives in a desert.
Yeah, we just live. We live on the edge of the desert. Bob lives more inland, that kind of stuff. But anyway, we were talking all last week, Bob, on our show here, trying to put together the separate elements that make up the gun control debate. And this week we're trying to put it all into a solidified strategy that we believe the DNC is going to be using to put the different parts of their planks together to build their platform in July when they meet for their convention. And the gun control narrative is just like the homosexual agenda and the immigration agenda in the sense that a couple years ago these were like lower plank issues, lower at the low of the list. You asked people what the most important things were. These were usually down at the bottom. Immigration, the homosexual agenda, and gun control. Now these things have all been elevated to the top and control the narrative, and that's what we're talking about right now, is the ability of the left to take issues like gun control and move it from the bottom to the top, and in doing so, been able to influence the public. I was looking up some statistics. In 1965, 70% of the people in the country believed that Americans were protected by the Constitution to bear arms. Today, only 30% actually believe that.
30% can't even spell Constitution now.
Yeah. So what we're getting at is, over the decades here, like everything else, the left has been able to gradually take control of the narrative, and through by being assisted by the media. And now we have the Senate out there. I was just reading here at the break. The Senate has put forward their proposals from both sides, what they want for gun control, and it's really nothing more than what's been rehashed before. But what's your thoughts on this? The idea that the gun control narrative now is being pushed, not for the purpose necessarily of taking our guns away from us, but getting us to willfully surrender them.
Well, you know what? First of all, just so I can update you, they had 5 measures before the Senate today on gun control, and 3 of the 5 have already failed. They haven't gotten to the 4th vote yet. And then my other purpose, my other feeling is all the things you say is absolutely true and accurate, but I believe that these things are being brought to a forefront, not because they're just or should happen, but because they want to take the focus off of other issues that could be taking place in the campaigns today. I don't think you're ever going to see the reversal of the Second Amendment. I don't think you're ever going to see the kind of gun control that they're espousing out there. It's just not going to happen, because gun control isn't going to stop the kind of terrorist actions that are taking place in our country or around the world today.
Well, let's put it in this way. Let's just play the devil's advocate for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, I would listen to what you're saying and say, yeah, okay, but I'm going to go to the extreme negative side here, and I'm going to say, like, for instance, the Supreme Court has decided not to hear the case about gun control. The gun control, the gun advocates up in Connecticut were suing the state of Connecticut for banning the AR-15 assault weapon. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Now, the Supreme Court has basically said we don't want to hear it, which means it's going to relapse back down to whatever the states have decided to do about it. Now, in line with that, we get somebody like Hillary Clinton in office, and she gets her socialist on the Supreme Court bench, and now these things are brought up, but from the other side. The other side decides, hey, we want to take this Connecticut law and we want to implement it across the country. And so based on that kind of thinking, do you still think that the Second Amendment would be protected?
Yeah, you know what? I do, and let me tell you why. You and I espouse more power in the states. We believe that if it's not a federally controlled issue and the states are protected in this particular issue under the Constitution, at least that's my belief. I think that what's really going to happen is because we have the uneven vote or an even vote in the Supreme Court, and it has reverted back to the appeals bench. What's happened is that's the same thing tantamount to the Supreme Court upholding the appeals bench's finding in this case, which means that they're saying, hey, yeah, this is a state issue, and it's the state's authority and prerogative to do what they want, and the Supreme Court is recognizing that. That's the way I'm looking at it.
Well, normally I would agree with that. Normally I would say you're right, because I think it's good for the Supreme Court to have rejected this and place it back in the hands of the state. But what we see, the research I've been doing and the statistics are showing that the states themselves are becoming more and more suggestive. They're being more manipulated and maneuvered into this place where the states are willing to give up or agreeing to the general concept that the federal government should step in somehow and control. The proposals, for instance, that are out there in front of the Senate right now is that gun sales and people who are put on no-fly lists should be overseen by the government, the federal government, as to whether these people are actually placed there. What they're saying is, well, we'll have to notify the people first that we're placing them on the no-fly list, and then the people are supposed to have, quote-unquote, due process to be able to argue that point. But at that point, since when has the government ever done anything like they say they're going to do it?
Well, which was exactly the point I was waiting for you to finish, because that was exactly the point I was going to make, and you took it away from me.
Oh.
And that is that since when has the government really been efficient at doing anything, with regard to the rights of the people? You know what? The truth is they usurp our rights each and every day, and we continue as individuals, as citizens, to allow the government to chip away at the rights we have, and one day we're going to turn around and find out that we no longer have any rights, that they've all been turned in to privileges, but privileges for just a few and not for all of us. And if we don't start taking stands to protect the rights that were given to us under the Constitution, and whether that be the federal Constitution or the state constitution, then we're going to see this country turn into something really ugly.
Yeah, and my fear is that we may be closer to that than farther. And just to give you an idea, just reiterate what I'm saying here. Dianne Feinstein's proposal in front of the Senate is that the Justice Department, the federal government, would have the power to stop anyone from purchasing a gun if that person has been on the federal terrorist watch list sometime in the last 5 years. Of course, we've never been able to get from the government how a person makes it on the no-fly list, and we're not told how they can actually contest. We're told that if they've been on the list, okay, fine. And even with this criteria, this guy that just went and shot up Orlando should not have been able to get a gun.
Well, that's true, but here's the thing. I wish I could remember the senator's name, and I just can't remember it. We had a United States senator that accidentally got on the no-fly list.
That was Ted Kennedy.
I'm sorry, who was it?
It was Ted Kennedy.
Oh, I don't think so.
Ted Kennedy before he passed.
Ted Kennedy.
Was it Ted Kennedy?
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, can you imagine? He gets put on the no-fly list, and they can't get him off of it for I don't know how long. What happens if you and I get on that no-fly list? The truth is that I think it's something that really needs to be justified, and not have one person say, "Well, we're going to put him on there until we know better."
Well, for sake's sake here, Ted's doing okay. I mean, he's still voting in Chicago.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
is he doing an absentee ballot by way of Boston or what?
Yeah, absolutely. From the grave.
Yeah, and if I can float my really sick joke about Tim Kennedy, he's been sober for 5 years now.
Yeah.
So he's on top of things. Anyway, we should probably go on a break.
Yeah, we got to go on a break. Better before I say something. I let my tongue slip a while ago, and I'm like, oh, man, I may have to take that out in post. But okay, guys, we'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We've got Bob Cardoso from Robert Cardoso Live with us, and myself, John Matthews, and Joe Hakels. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360.
All right, hey, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakels. We have Bob Cardoso from Robert Cardoso Live, who streams Monday through Friday 3 to 5 p.m., just like we do out here on the West Coast, and 6 to 8 on the East Coast. You can catch him at his website. Go to robertcardosalive.com, and you can figure out everything you need to know about the show. I believe you can pick up the apps there that you talk about. You're always talking about the mobile apps. They can pick that up off of your website, right, Bob?
Yes, they can.
Okay. All right. Now, we're talking about the narrative here, the gun control narrative, and how effectively actually the left has been able to control much of the narrative in this country, taking issues like immigration, homosexuality, and gun control, the top three in the last 3 to 4 years, and been able to move them from the bottom to the top just by touting buzzwords, some really nice buzzwords, common sense gun control measures, equality for all. That kind of thing.
But you know what the problem with all of this is, John? The problem with this is, they wait for these opportune moments, and I suppose you could say that that's a tactical thing. But the truth is they wait for some tragedy to take place. They manufacture what would not have happened had they had gun control, which is totally inaccurate. It's not true. Matter of fact, I cannot think of one of these tragedies that we have had going all the way back to where we had the guys shooting out of a trunk in a car in Washington, D.C., or what was going on at the Oklahoma Federal Building, or the kids, that got massacred, this last thing in Orlando. Not one thing on gun control would have stopped these horrible, horrible events.
Right, exactly. And that leads me to my next question here in the time we have left with you. This one's kind of a deep one. You may have to take a moment to digest it. But I was looking at some statistics today. Mass shootings, statistics. Ronald Reagan had, during his administration, 11 mass shootings, right? George Bush Sr., 12 mass shootings. Bill Clinton had 23 mass shootings during his administration. George W. Bush, there was 16 mass shooting events that were, I guess, recorded in the media. Barack Obama, 162 mass shootings since he's taken office. And it leads us to believe that perhaps, as you were mentioning, you're taking these crises, and we're out here on a limb now. I'm actually believing myself here that Donald Trump may have something, this idea that Barack Obama is an enabler of terrorism for the purpose of advancing this gun control narrative, because that is part of the socialist slant.
Well, it's not just Barack Obama. I mean, it's not just Donald Trump that said that. A lot of the trouble that Donald has gotten into the last couple of weeks is because he's been quoting McCain. McCain has been saying the same stuff.
Yeah, well, that's my point. We're to the point where we're sitting here going, Trump has said some pretty zany things, but I'm looking at this now and I'm saying, this probably out of everything I've heard him say makes the most sense to me, that we have a president who is so intent on getting every part of this idea, every part of this agenda his, and if that's the case. Just to at least get it out there. Get it out there so that Hillary Clinton may be the one that actually implements it. If she wins, we get a Supreme Court justice out there, she just throws it out there. And let's see what happens, that kind of thing. And so I'm believing now that, Barack Obama is actually enabling terrorism, and in particular, this ISIS, but in particular the domestic terrorism that's going on, because that's a big thing now. It's all about homegrown radicals looking at the internet versus being actually groomed in a mosque. Like this.
Yeah, but John, if you really think about it, and I don't mean you, I mean you collectively, okay? If you really think about it, the problem we're having with ISIS today wouldn't have existed had Obama not taken the troops out of Syria. And that's what created ISIS the way it is today. And because he continues to do things in opposition to what the United States military leaders and the experts want to do, we continue to get these terrorist acts that keep increasing and increasing and increasing. That is proved by the statistics that you just quoted.
Yeah, well, it's becoming more and more apparent to me that this is it's not just let a crisis go. Don't let a good crisis go to waste. It's let's manufacture a crisis so that we can not let it go to waste. That's what it seems to me what's going on here.
Oh, yeah. You know what? It'd be interesting to find out. And I was going to say something. I know I'm going to be sorry for saying it, but you know what? It just seems to me that in the Democratic administrations, these mass terrorist acts or shooting acts seem to increase. I'm wondering if these guys are all registered Democrats.
Yeah. Well, I do know that this shooter, this last one in Orlando, was a registered Democrat. That was one of the first things that came out. He was a registered Democrat. Now, the one in San Bernardino, I'm not sure he was actually affiliated with any party. But the one in Aurora, the kid that shot up the theater, he was a registered Democrat. You know, there's very few of these people that are toting the line on the right extremist Nazi party known as the Conservative Movement in the Republican Party.
You know, I just need to go on record. I was just kidding when I said that. I didn't realize
but no, you were spot on, dude. You were spot on.
I didn't realize it was true.
Yeah, you're correct by mistake.
Most of my correctness is a result of that.
Yeah. So anyway, we're coming up on the end of our segment with you, Bob. Joe, do you have anything you wanted to kick in here?
I just like to reiterate. You said that Feinstein had a proposal out there to let the Department of Justice maintain the no-fly list and the terror watch list. Is that what you were telling me?
The Department of Homeland Security would be the one maintaining the watch list, but the Justice Department is the one that would be granted the power to stop anyone from purchasing a gun if that person has been on the Federalist Terrorist Watch list for the past 5 years.
Well, that makes it better. The Sharia-compliant Department of Justice would be able to do that. Because the fact that they don't even want anybody to know this guy was talking about Islam or anything about Allah. They redacted all out of his 911 calls. Yeah. They are being compliant with Sharia law, and I guess we didn't know we changed that.
Yeah.
Well, but here's the other thing. Did you see? Have you been following this 28 pages of the 9/11 investigation, in where they won't release these 28 pages because it seems to have indications and proof that Saudi Arabia was behind that attack, or at least financed it.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they're actually, I would think that the left would want that list out there. Because the argument has always been that the Bush family are tight with Saudi Arabia.
They do. Bob Graham, former governor and senator from Florida, is the one pushing it. He's not what I would call a conservative, okay?
Yeah. But you would think the left would be jumping on board with this and saying, yeah, let's put that out there, because if we can prove the Saudis were involved in 9/11, now we can go after the Bushes.
Well, Bob's just not on board with the program, okay?
Well, you know what? I'm still whether or not that happened while Bush was president. I don't think he instigated that. I think that he probably got the wool pulled over his eyes. The real damage that was done after this entire fiasco was when Obama made the decision to prematurely pull all of our troops out of Syria.
Yeah. Well, again, that's the enabling concept here.
Yeah,
is through complicity. You can't blame him. Say, okay, he's an Islamic radical sympathizer, but if he's looking the other way and retracting the phone message, the 911 call that this shooter down in Orlando made, removing any reference to Islam. And saying, because we don't want to give the Islamic radicals credit. Well, you've already told us that ISIS had nothing to do with this. So why are you so worried about whether this guy claims loyalty to ISIS? If you're telling us he wanted to be an ISIS guy, he was a wannabe. But he really wasn't. Anyway, we're out of time, Bob. I want to give you a chance to promote your show before we let you go.
All right, listen, I want everybody to know that we're on the air Monday through Friday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time. We also archive all of our shows just like John does. But the best thing I can get you to do is to get our app. You can go to my website and get it at robertcrozalive.com. The app is absolutely free. If you've got an Android product or a Windows product, you can also just go to googleplay.com, download it, just search Robert Groza Live. If you've got an Apple product, go to the Apple Store, do the same search. Absolutely free. Tell your friends about it. Tell your friends about our show. I'd appreciate it. They'd appreciate it, and you'll be glad that you did it too. Hey, guys, thank you so much, and I look forward to talking to you on Friday.
All right, you take care, my friend. Take care, and give our best to your family.
I sure will. Thank you.
All right. God bless you. All right. Okay, guys, we're at the end of the hour here, and it's time for the Edwards Notebook. and then we will pay some bills, and we'll be back. We'll continue our narrative here. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
Well, let me tell you about my best friend. He's a warm-hearted.
Hello, America. We must never forget the man we call Dad. I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, though he was only in my life for my first 12 birthdays, I am eternally thankful for the man I called Dad. He was truly a man among men who taught me what is right and lived it as well. Not only did he instruct me about the do's and don'ts of life, but was a fun person to be around, and for the most part, very patient and encouraging as well. If for some reason I was in the doldrums about some childhood dilemma, Dad never belittled me for what I may have thought to be a big problem at the time, but instead would have a short story with a moral that always presented a self-evident common-sense solution to what I may have thought to be a big deal. Dad made sure that I was well acquainted with God, and he never ceased in his desire to lovingly care for and guide his family. His love for America and knowledge of her great history was second to none, and he inspired me to appreciate not only our republic, but God and family as well. Thanks, Dad, and thank you, Heavenly Father, for such a great dad. I'm Ron Edwards.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
All you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
Hey, and we're back. Hour 2 right here at the Conservative Syndicate. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. Hey, you want to hear something funny? Just you know, we were just talking with Bob Cardosa from Robert Cardosa Live, and we were talking about the fact that the shooter, the Orlando shooter, even though he was Islamic, radicalized, or however, whatever phrase or label you want to put on the guy, was a registered Democrat. Well, there's an oxymoron for you, really. But here's something that's really funny. We were just talking about he was, in fact, a Democrat. And a discussion I had last week with somebody that was telling me, trying to explain to me that Barack Obama actually had signed more legislation allowing guns in the public arena than George W. Bush. And one of the things he mentioned was it was Barack Obama who authorized the use or the bringing of firearms into public parks. You know, for the purpose, I guess, target shooting or whatever. You can't hunt.
Federal land?
Yeah, on federal land for the purpose of, sports shooting or whatever. Of course, you can't be hunting because everything there is endangered, according to left. But so he was making this big deal to me. Well, George W. Bush wouldn't allow that, but Barack Obama signed that into law. Well, lo and behold, just the way the narrative works. So we're talking about the narrative here. Today, Democratic lawmakers hold a meeting to discuss right-wing terrorism, okay? And this is days after the Islamic terrorist, who was also a registered Democrat, killed over 50 people in the worst terror attack on American soil since 9/11. Democrats in Congress met to discuss right-wing terrorism, okay? This guy's a registered Democrat, but they want to talk about right-wing terrorism. Now, here's the funny part. They say the GOP is not doing enough to prevent violent extremism on America's public lands. Okay, and the incident they gave was the standoff up in Oregon with Ammon Bundy and Ryan Bundy. Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, in which there was 4 people shot by the FBI and Lavoy Finicum was killed.
Yes.
Okay, so Obama signed legislation that allows people to take guns into public parks, federal land, and these guys now they're saying they're upset that the GOP didn't stop these people from bringing guns on federal land. Just let that sink in just for a moment, okay? Legislation. Now we know that this was all about from the Bundy side of this thing. This is all about. Well, it's about control. It's about the federal land grab, that kind of stuff. And we know that that's what they were protesting. But the fact that you're sitting here using the example or using the event in which one of your own people shot up people to then turn around and say the GOP isn't doing enough to stop guns coming into federal land that was authorized by a bill signed by your president. So, see, I guess I'm pointing to the ridiculousness of this. Okay, the idea that they am I making sense, Joe?
I find the irony of it. It's like one of those. Can you say that again? Because it's not making a lot of sense. But I get what you're saying. I completely understand what it is.
Yeah, it says here the House Democrats held a meeting Wednesday to discuss the threat of violent extremism on America's public lands. That would be federal land. Just a few days after Muslim land shut up a gay nightclub in the name of the Islamic State. Democrats allege that the GOP is not doing enough to prevent violent extremism on America's public lands. They convened the meeting to discuss Republicans' decision to opt out of holding a hearing on armed militia who occupied Malheur National Wildlife Refuge for roughly 40 days starting in January. Now, the word militia there is the buzzword. Because one of the things that's being offered out there by the leftist pundits out there, I was looking at this last week. I'll make this point before we go to the break. Huffington Post, one of the writers over at Huffington Post, was talking about the fact that the Second Amendment says or infers to a well-regulated militia.
Oh, gee.
Okay? So what he's saying is that the Second Amendment doesn't have anything to do with hunters, sports guys, or anything else. It has to do with a well-regulated militia. Now, the implication is, or the question is, who regulates a state militia? If the state militia is formed to prevent against a federal government coming against a state, what hand would the federal government have in regulating that militia? So it's using words to defend an argument that isn't even coherent. You're going to say a well-regulated militia, but then the federal government's going to set the terms and conditions for the well-regulation of that militia? See, this double spin, it makes your head spin. That the very things that they try to use to defend their narrative don't even work, don't even fit. Who in their right mind would say, yes, we need a well-regulated state militia? And the reason that, for the purpose of that militia is to guard against the infringement of our rights by the federal government. Let's go to the federal government and ask them how they want us to set up the militia.
Yes, you guys get to use, I don't know, straws with little.
Yeah. We'll give you some pea shooters and slingshots.
Yes, exactly that.
Okay.
Because you could put an eye out with those.
Yeah. So, and we can put you on a no-fly list if you hit too many people with those things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, just the idiocy of it, my friends, the idiocy of it. It's just astounding. Just astounding that these people don't even. It's just get it out there. It's just hammer home that narrative any way you can, and you've got an ignorant electorate, an ignorant public, completely susceptible to the Gruber theorem, the stupidity of the American voter. And I wonder how many people are reading this today, looking at this article, going, "Yeah," not even knowing that it was your president that authorized the bringing of firearms into federal lands.
He also did the Fast and Furious gun weapons running across our Mexican border, which got Brian Terry killed.
Yeah.
But we won't talk about those kind of things he's tried to do to incite more gun violence on this side of the border, and in the attempt to again further the gun legislation and talk about gun legislation, common sense gun safety laws.
Right.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. Yeah, you don't hear about that anymore either, do you?
Yeah, no, that's kind of gone out the window now. Now it's all about the kids, the human shields, and we're going to talk about that probably later in the week. How Barack Obama once again has trotted out the kids. The kids, it's all about the kids. It's always about the kids. We got to go to break. When we come back, we'll continue our narrative here, our own narrative, right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. Right now, time for Moments of Madness. Today on Moments of Madness. Now that Hillary's $12,000 Armani jacket has been stored away with more concern for its security than her email server, we can take a presumptive look at what her campaign, as well as the DNC platform and what she will run, will look like, providing, of course, plans do not change from running for office to being fitted for an orange jumpsuit complete with her own monogrammed inmate number. Bernie Sanders' strong finish in the last of the national primaries. He won Montana and North Dakota, finished close everywhere else, and was only blown out in New Mexico, has earned him a secret meeting with Obama. One we can presume will seek to find common ground on how open the DNC should be in their evolving transformation of the United States of America, from republicanism with its greedy capitalistic economic system to the Marxist wealth redistribution model Obama envisions, utilizing creative destruction, the transferring of independent wealth to the coffers of central planners. The GOP platform will be no different. Dealing with the fallout of Donald Trump's populist tsunami, one that shows no signs of letting up, the GOP establishment is plotting their survival course by attempting to prove the only attire Trump is fit to wear is a straitjacket, complete with accessorized restraining straps. Their platform also promises to be an experiment in evolutionary monetarism as they paint their planks Obama blue while trying to convince us it is still Reagan red. So intent are they to destroy Trump, they are still trying to sell the idea an independent candidate of their choice can once again dupe their base into supporting their false narrative that limited government can only be achieved through unlimited compromise. Here's the madness. One thing we can be sure of, we won't have to worry about either side taking time to articulate how their respective positions are going to reduce poverty, restore racial tranquility, and save the world from that nasty JV team in the Middle East. Paul Ryan's latest attempt at putting together a blueprint of recovery, this time entitled A Better Way. Remember the path toward prosperity? Yeah, neither do I. Prefaces his rehashed plan with a benevolent scolding of those who oppose the establishment having no part in finding a solution, as if to imply identifying and debating the problems we face today are irrelevant in the process of finding much-needed answers. We can complain about it, referring to our current direction, but that won't change things, Speaker Ryan begins, and he's right. As far as we can tell, our complaints have fallen on the deaf ears of him and his cronies for at least the last 4 election cycles. The Democrats? Not much better there either. They'll just continue to lie, spin, and deceive their base into believing the only thing that has inhibited Obama's grand plan of transformation is time and seats on the Supreme Court bench. I wouldn't be surprised if their platform consists of one sentence: see previous administration. So what can we expect in a race that both sides claim is crucial to our survival, but have geared their campaigns based primarily on populist rhetoric embraced by an ignorant electorate? We can expect to be further nurtured and exploited at our expense by both sides. From the left, we can expect to be inundated with verbal gaffes elevated to policy positions by the media. Racial and gender tensions to be played as the defining factor in job qualifications, as well as patriotic indicators by their nominee. Scandals as nothing more than a justifiable means to an end. And of course, the promise of socio-economic equality at the expense of American exceptionalism, which preaches opportunity over entitlement. From the other side, we can expect rhetorical unity to hide fear and disdain for those of us who have placed them in office. We can expect the same promises made to us, repackaged to appeal to those who historically support the likes of Obama and Clinton. Join us so that we can stop the Democrats' destruction of America. Give us the chance to lie to you. Is there a bright side? Perhaps. Hillary Clinton speaking on election night, once again adorned in her Armani jacket, announcing she has won the election, but will spend her first 100 days trying to avoid having to replace it with that orange jumpsuit sounds good. Or breaking news, the GOP establishment folks are lining up and jumping out of their Plaza Suite windows. Either scenario has got to be the silver lining on the storm that is quickly descending upon us. This reminds me, I need a new umbrella. This is John Matthews for Moments of Madness. All right, hey, we're back. We want to challenge you. I want to challenge you to visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, especially if you're just perhaps tuning in for the first time, or maybe you've only listened to us a couple times. Maybe you've been in and out. You know, some people just, I'm sure that not everybody listens to this show, sits themselves down for 2 hours and just listens to us, you know, especially if you're at work. You know, if you're listening to us at work, you may not supposed to be listening to us at work, but I'm sure that you have to get up and everything else, and you miss something. So hey, visit our website. You can pick up this show, any of our shows, find out what you want to know about our panel, what we do, why we exist. That's the conservativesyndicate.net. Now, I want to get back to the narrative here. And one of the things we were touching briefly on at the beginning of the show, I want to expound on a little bit more right now, is the ability or the effectiveness of a narrative that is just hammered time and time again. And that's what the left has done. They've taken their issues and they just hammer them and hammer them and hammer them again. And they keep going. And the longer they do it, sooner or later, people begin to buy it. I was using the example of healthcare over in the European theater. The reason a lot of Europeans think it's great is, one, they have nothing to compare it to, and two, they've been taught since birth that this is the system, and it's a good system because we live in a good country run by good people. Every country tries to do that, whether you're a tyrant or whatever. You try to get the idea that, okay, I'm a tyrant, but I'm a good tyrant. I'm a tyrant for your own good.
Yes, I'm a benevolent tyrant.
Yeah.
I love you right up until you cross me and I kill you.
Yeah. I love you so much, I'm willing to...
Your family.
Yeah.
I love you. I'm benevolent.
I'm so concerned about your well-being that I will eliminate you from the face of the earth should you not accept what I want to do to ensure your well-being.
Because my chains are so soft.
Yeah. So this whole idea of the narrative, and as it has been the thing, it's not like this. It really isn't like this is the first time the gun control thing has come up, and it's not the first time that it is set center point. But the idea that we're here in an election year works even more to the advantage of the left because nobody's talking about Hillary right now.
Who?
Nobody's talking about what's coming down with her right now. Nobody's talking, all that's kind of just been pushed to the side. In fact, nobody's even really asking her about the gun control debate right now.
Who's this Hillary, her you speak of?
Yeah, Hillary Clinton. In fact, everything is so secretive with the Clintons. Did you know that Chelsea gave birth this weekend? Again?
To what?
A boy. She had a boy. I didn't even know the girl was pregnant.
It's human?
I don't know. Maybe we have to go back and revisit the Roswell dummy thing. I don't know.
So that movie Independence Day was just a Clinton vacation video?
Well, here's my point. The media is so into damage control and protecting the Clintons, we didn't even know that her daughter, who, by the way, has been out campaigning for, you would think that somewhere, at least somebody like Whoopi Goldberg or Joey Bear on The View would have noticed the bulge. Maybe she's told stand behind the podium, don't let anybody know that you're pregnant. But wow. I didn't know she was pregnant again. But she had a kid. But
I don't care.
Yeah, I don't really care. She can have 10 kids for all I care.
No, I don't want 10 of them out there.
Yeah, they breed like the Kennedys. Oh my God, we're in a lot of trouble. But my point being is that Hillary isn't even being included in the debate right now.
Yeah, but there's just not room for her and her problems anymore.
Yeah, but Trump is front and center.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah, and not only being targeted by the left and the media, but also by our own party. Or the Republican Party, no longer my party, the Republican Party. And nobody seems to be even a little bit concerned about that. So my whole point being is it has the narrative. The narrative has been going on for quite a while. It's just we got to put this in perspective. Barack Obama's in his last 7 months, if you count December. He gets after the election. What do we got here? We're in June, right? We're coming up July, August, September, October, November, December, and half of January. So 6.5 months he's got left to pull all his tricks out of his magic bag and throw everything up against the wall and see what sticks. And so this is like a last-ditch effort by Obama to at least bring the gun control debate to some level that he can get concession by the Republican Party to at least the degree that should Hillary Clinton win the White House, she's got something now that she can go after as she begins to implement and expand on the Obama utopian model, okay? So he's throwing everything out there he can right now. It's like this man has taken it personally when he can't get something advanced. You know, the homosexual agenda was put on the back burner. The immigration agenda was put on the back burner during his first term because there were no-win issues.
Well, he wanted his first term. What did he want? He wanted health care. He wanted that passed.
Right.
He had plenty of. He could have done anything he wanted. Anything he wanted. He had both houses of Congress. He could have done anything he wanted. What did he choose to do? Health care, and he barely got that through. He had to use all kind of tricks and other deception to get that done. So don't whine to me about you couldn't get it done, Barack. But who's he upset with the most? Republicans. Donald Trump. He's not upset with the terrorists out there shooting up people. He's upset with the Republicans.
Yeah. And let's think about this. The health care thing was crammed through, and it took a couple of years for people to figure out what a bomb it is. And now we're sitting here on the cusp of the complete death spiral. Not that Obama doesn't want it to die. I mean, that was the whole reason it was designed the way it was, is so that it would implode and crash and burn and allow the government to once again come in. Another crisis. Oh, we got to fix this. How are we going to fix this? We got to go to single payer. Hold on.
Let me open up my desk drawer. I got it right here. It just happens to already be printed out.
And the Republican Party, instead of sticking to their guns of repealing Obamacare, now it's repeal and replace. Now they've got their own version they think they're going to trot out there, and the American public's going to jump up and down and go, oh, yeah, the Republicans have a better idea. I always like Lewis Black, the way he referred to it, as the Republican Party is a party of crappy ideas, and the Democrat Party is the party of no ideas. And the way it works is the Republicans come out and say, I have a really crappy idea. And the Democrats come out and say, I can make it even crappier. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with here.
Guess who wins?
Yeah, nobody wins except these people.
Yeah, now, nobody in this country.
Yeah, so now the point being is that this narrative, along with the narrative is, let's put this in big picture right now, and then we narrow it down to the elements and the planks within it. The narrative is Americans owe it to their fellow Americans to give up their rights so that others can have the same rights they have. And what I mean by that is you give up your wealth, you give up your individuality so that everybody feels the same within the collective concept of equality. And the collective concept is nobody earns more than anybody else, nobody's taken care of any better than anybody else, nobody lives anywhere different than what everybody else is living. And we talked last week about the Section 8 housing. Hey, did you know this regarding that, Joe? I was rereading the stuff today.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that these people that are being offered Section 8 housing in affluent neighborhoods, and the government saying we'll subsidize whatever we need to get the impoverished living in affluent neighborhoods so that we get this quote-unquote equal socioeconomic thing going?
I'm afraid to hear this.
Did you know that if a person turns down the Section 8 housing, that they can have all their welfare benefits rescinded?
I wonder if it was they found them a job if they would do the same thing.
Well, I just think of this concept. Somebody says, well, it'd be nice to live out here in Huntington Beach, California, Surf City, but my family's here in Chicago. And I don't really need a house with a boat dock in my backyard. I don't own a boat. And besides, I can't swim anyway. Okay, so I don't need that. And so the government says, oh, you won't accept our generosity. You won't accept our socioeconomic profile. You won't accept what we have to offer you. Okay, we're taking back everything that we've given you.
Yeah, we're going to take it all back from you because it's not your right. You don't have a right to that anyway. We're the government. We can take away your right.
Yeah, we've worked so hard to give this to you, and now you don't want it? Okay, we're just going to take everything back then.
Yeah, well, we're going to take all your rights now.
Yeah, you can go back.
You know what? We're going to take your birthday as well. You were never born.
Yeah. I just thought that's a little side note that isn't being pushed on that.
That's pretty awesome, actually. It's like, wow. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. So, back to the narrative here. that just resurfaced in my mind here. I laughed about it when I saw it. I thought, yeah, that sounds like par for the course. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, but what I'm getting at here, that this gun control issue or debate has surfaced at times. But right now, it seems like the perfect opportunity. Like I said, we've had 162 mass shootings under the Obama administration. I don't know how that is defined, but I would imagine that when we talk about riots and everything else, I don't know, everything combined, 162 mass shootings of one level or another. And the most that had any before that, the most before that was Bill Clinton with 23. So that gives you kind of an idea. It's kind of like all the other things we find out with Barack Obama, like for the deficit, quadruple the deficit. More has brought more debt on America than all 44 presidents before him.
Yeah, the national debt has gone way up, but the deficit's gone down.
Yeah,
make that magic happen.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, John, I can't believe you're going to do all this, but you got to, there's so much more, and I can't believe we're going to get it in because it's time for a break again.
Yeah, I know. Another break. Got to pay some bills. Stay with us, though. We will get through this. That's why we do these things, and that's why we do them the way we do them. If it takes all week, at the end of the week, you're going to be much better for the knowledge. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got. Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest, who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923 and like them on Facebook and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, safety, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame he owed money to the IRS and they finally cut up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get to Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, then bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474, 866-657-8474, 866-657-8474, 866-657-8474.
All right, hey, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. We're talking about the narrative today. We actually are going to lay out to you during the course of this week 5 steps or 5 points regarding this proposed gun regulation strategy that's being put forth by the Democrats right now. This isn't something that was just thought up since the Orlando shooting. This is something that has been thought through and planned for at least 8 years now, if not longer. I'm sure probably longer in some form or fashion, about how the left wants to eliminate what I call the domestic disarmament program, to be able to take away or get Americans to surrender their Second Amendment rights and then be able to walk among us unopposed. Nothing we can do to stop it. And we've talked about some of the things that have happened in the past. We'll talk a little bit more about it, how the Nazis were able to get the German people to disarm, and the first people that went along with it, were the law-abiding citizens. They willfully gave up their guns, because one thing about law-abiding people, they don't always give thought to the fact that there are people out here who don't abide by the law. And so they're willing to, okay, in the name of common good, I'm a good person by nature, I have a good nature, I'm compassionate for my fellow man. Yeah, okay, I'm willing to sacrifice as long, for the collective, that kind of thing. Understanding that the lawless don't care about laws. The people that are out there shooting people up don't care.
Sorry. Just some law-abiding people were just walking through here. We were just overhearing their little conversation. Sorry. Oh, there they are. It's the last one left.
Okay, now let's get into some facts here. Let's give you some stats here to support what we're saying here. That a narrative is something that basically wears people down, and gets you to a place where you just, maybe out of apathy, maybe out of irritation, maybe out of ignorance, maybe a combination of all three, you willfully just go along with the crowd, okay? As Joe was just exhibiting for us, you become part of the flock, and you just, okay, I'll go along to get along, that kind of thing. Divided America, Associated Press, Matt Sadinsky, gun views fractious, even as fewer bear arms. And this is part of a series that this gentleman, Matt Sadinsky, has been writing on Divided America. And he's been talking about the political divisions in America's society. He writes in New York, look anywhere in this nation born of a bloody revolution of musket fire, and you're likely to find sharp disagreement over guns Democrats war with Republicans. Small towns are pitted against cities. Women and men are at odds, as are blacks and whites, and old and young. North clashes with South, East, and West. The current gun debate is more polarized and sour than any time before in American history, says Adam Winkler, a constitutional law professor at UCLA and author of the 2011 book Gunfight, The Battle Over the Right to Bear Arms in America. Now, it says, he goes on to say here, today in a country of hundreds of millions of guns, public opinion and interpretation of the law have shifted so much that outright gun bans are unthinkable. Now that may be a true statement. You know, people are digging in. Second Amendment supporters are digging in. Gun sales are up. They're at an all-time high. People are buying guns because they're being told that there's a threat out there that they may not be able to do it. It says it's true that large segments of the public have expressed support for some aspect of gun regulation. But when Americans have been asked to say which is more important, gun control or gun rights, they trend towards the latter, meaning gun rights. That shift has come surprisingly as fewer Americans today choose to keep a gun in their home. One of the effects of the narrative is that people are becoming more susceptible or more easier, what's the word I'm thinking of? It's being easily suggested and being digested not to even own firearms. Okay? I have a debate going on with my wife. I want to get a gun. She argues with me vehemently about it. We don't need a gun in this house. Well, I think we do. Okay? I'm not talking about going out and borrowing one of Tom Brokaw's AR-14s. But I want to get a Glock 40 millimeter. I love that gun. I fired the first time I fell in love with it. Oh, I got to have one of these, that kind of thing. Anyway, but here's this. This is the line that I want to give to you that will support what we're talking about here. The General Social Survey by the NORC at the University of Chicago, one of the foremost authorities on gun ownership, found 31% of households had guns in 2014, down from a high of 50.4 in 1977. Now, listen to this. Institutions have repeated, more guns, less crime, more guns, less crime, over and over again for almost 40 years, and it's hard to turn that belief around in an easy way, says Joan Burbeck, Emeritus Professor at Washington State University. So what they're saying is that a narrative that is fed constantly, and here in this case, it's not more guns, less crime, because that's the gun advocates' mantra. More guns, less crime. I put a graphic, and Joe mentioned last week. Sweden, mandatory gun ownership, lowest crime rate in the world. Honduras, I believe it is.
Honduras, yeah.
Banned guns. Nobody can own a gun. The highest crime rate in the world. Now, how are those crimes being committed? With guns. The lawless don't care about laws. That should be that is a fundamentally sound argument if you threw everything else out and just, you can argue it, the ideology behind it, all you want to. The lawless do not care about laws. Okay? They want a gun, they're going to get a gun. If they can't get one legally, they'll get one illegally. It doesn't make any difference. Now, it says among the longest existing measures of public gun sentiment is a Gallup poll question asking whether there should be a law banning handguns, except by police and other authorized people. When it was first asked in July 1959, 60% of respondents approved of such a measure. All right? By last October, only 27% agreed. So, I think what they're saying is the gun control narrative, because of the way it has been articulated by the right for decades now, people may be open to the suggestion of gun regulation, but they're not open to the suggestion of giving guns up or having guns banned. I'm sorry, not giving. There's a difference between giving them up and having them banned. So the NRA and all the groups that have been out there for the last 4 or 5 decades that have kept the Second Amendment alive by arguing that it is the right to bear arms, have been pretty effective. What I'm getting at is here in the last 8 to 10 years, that narrative is being abandoned by people who normally would support it. Why? Because the left is doing what the right used to do. The left is articulating a counter-argument and doing it effectively. And now what you have is you have more and more people saying it should be the other way around. As we pointed out last week in one of the graphs that I had here, in June 2015, 70% of Democrats thought that there should be stricter gun control laws. Today, it's 85%. That's a 15% rise in just 1 year. Just 1 year.
It's Democrats.
Yeah, it's Democrats.
Of course.
Total respondents, everybody combined across the board, 57% in 2015 said there should be stricter gun laws. Today, it's over 60%. Independents have also joined on, as they do, the Fickle Group, have gone from 52% in 2015 to now 55% saying there should be stricter gun laws. Even Republicans, who used to be at 38%, are now above 40%.
Now, are these actual Republicans or Democrats that became Republicans?
Well, I have to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're talking about, registered.
I get you. You take these polls, these numbers with a whole lump of salt.
Yeah. Now here's where it gets even worse. Okay. It says here, though polarization appears in broad questions on gun rights, meaning should there be more gun control or guns banned, that kind of thing, versus gun rights. When you approach it in a general aspect, the differences are more equal, I guess. But far more consensus emerges on individual proposals. A Pew poll released in August showed 85% of people support background checks for purchases of guns at gun shows.
Hey, it's already happening.
Yeah. Now, I believe most states already do this.
Yeah, absolutely. You just can't go to a gun show and still just get it. You're going to have the background. You're going to have to fill out the paperwork.
Yeah. Now, let me give you...
Say, hey, I like that gun, and go walk out with it. No, it just doesn't work that way.
Okay. Now, let me give you... This is the scary statistic right here. We'll give you this one, then we got to go to break. This same poll, 70% approve of a federal database to track gun sales. And 57% favor a ban on assault weapons.
Define that. I mean, I could have a baseball bat and paint it black and put plastic all over it, and it could be an assault weapon.
Yeah. Now, what I'm getting at here is the narrative since my first quote here in 1959, where 70% of the people believed that gun rights were gun rights.
Yeah.
We got 70% approve of a federal database, the federal intervention of gun control. 70%.
Gruber.
Wow. I'm one of these people who says, yeah, I believe in background checks, but we already have background checks.
Thank you. Been Grubered.
Okay.
He's been Gruberized.
Yeah, and they're at a state level. We're talking about the states surrendering their right, their sovereignty, in dealing with gun control and turning it over to the federal government. And now 70% of the people out there that are being asked in these polls are saying that sounds like a good idea. And now when you put that kind of information together with things like federal databases and net neutrality and no-fly lists and watch lists, see, everybody thinks they're talking about the other guy. That's the problem. Everybody thinks that when we talk about this kind of stuff, we're talking about the other guy. They're not talking about me. The government's not talking about me. They're talking about the other bad guys out there.
Yeah, right.
No, we're all bad guys in the eyes of the government if we disagree with them.
It's the same people that vote for the same guy all the time. They're like Hank Johnson, who thought the Marines would capsize Guam. He kept getting reelected. Ha, 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 ha.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a brilliant guy.
Okay, guys, we got to go to our short break here. This is our short break. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. All right, here we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. Again, just a reminder, visit our website at your leisure, because that's the way we've set the site up. You can visit it at your leisure, theconservativesyndicate.net. Pick up this show, any of our shows, find out anything you want to know about our panel, theconservativesyndicate.net. All right, back to our article here that I'm covering here from, this is written by Matt Sadinsky at Associated Press, part of a series he's writing on economic, social, and political divisions in American society. And he's talking about the gun debate. And he takes the comparison of what the gun debate used to be about, or how it was framed back in the late 50s, actually 1959, so that'd be 60, 70, 89, up to now. And we see a reversal in the narrative that people back in 1959 who believed, yeah, there should be maybe perhaps some type of gun control in terms of background checks. But eliminating gun rights is a no-no. To where now where we're sitting here with almost a reversal, where people are sitting here saying, 70% of them are thinking, yeah, there should be some kind of federal control over the issuance of guns. And by the way, 60% of them thinking, we need to ban assault weapons. Of course, assault weapons as defined by who? Well, of course, by the federal government. Okay, so that AR-14 that Brokaw is carrying around, the one of a kind, he's out there, that's an assault weapon, all right? When in fact it's not an assault weapon. It's a semi-automatic civilian piece of firearms. Okay, we're not talking about the military version, the M16. So, what it paints is what I'm trying to get across to you with this is that the narrative, through repetition, is beginning to change. As the writer says here, is that institutions just keep repeating something. I used the example of healthcare earlier. European healthcare is the model. Swiss healthcare is the model. We need to be more like Denmark. All these models, this constant repetition. And people begin, after a while, through, for the most part, I think, just apathy after a while. I'm just tired of hearing it. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't affect me anyway. See, that's the thing. This is how this stuff happens. The normal, law-abiding citizen doesn't think any of this really pertains to them to begin with. They're out there thinking, yeah, we need gun control because there's people out there shooting up homosexual clubs down in Orlando. They're out there claiming loyalty to ISIS. They feel it's their place to eliminate all the blacks in the world, or whatever crazy thinking is behind them picking up a weapon and seeing how many people they can take out. And so everybody else is like, well, gee, I wouldn't want that to happen to my family, and we got to get rid of these wingnuts. But you don't understand that you're in the collective net of the ideology behind this. Because if we're going to prevent this, and we don't really have any grounds for taking away your rights, then what we have to do is we have to be able to toss that collective ideological net out there and reel everybody in and sort the goodies from the baddies. And by the way, in the process of this, we'll decide who the goodies and the baddies are. No longer based on just a single criteria of whether you're a threat to society, but perhaps you're a threat to the government. You're a threat to the collective because of your opposition to what it is the government is trying to accomplish with their agenda. So we're sitting out there thinking, well, it's somebody else. It's always somebody else until it hits home, until they start coming after you.
Like the lady in Georgia where it didn't bother her about transgender bathrooms until it affected her children.
Yeah, the commentator for NPR, was it, or PBS?
No, she was ACLU.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, she was a member, a representative of the ACLU. Somebody who makes a living going around suing everybody that doesn't agree with the progressive agenda. I'll say this. I was watching some stuff. I was watching documentaries. I've watched it several times. I was watching it again this morning. There's a series that was out on History Channel called "The Men That Built America."
Yes.
And they were talking about the rise of industrialism in the United States and the monopolies that people like John D. Rockefeller and Carnegie and J.P. Morgan, these people had out there and what they were doing with it, and how it became an abusive system because of the fact there was no regulation as to how they worked their people to death, and there was no safety regulations and stuff. So, I'm one of these people who can concur that there should be, regulations out there in terms of how people are used and abused by people who want to make money. I understand that, but again, I always believe that should be at a state level also. But my point being is that they made a reference to the fact that when William Jennings Bryan came out, the Democrat came out, and he was going to dismantle these monopolies. And the Carnegie, J.P. Morgan, and Rockefeller got together and said, you know what, we got to buy ourselves a president.
Yep, they did.
And they went out and got William McKinley.
Except he died.
Yeah, but they went out and got him, and that was supposed to cause everything to go back to normal.
Yeah, except he died, and then it was Roosevelt.
Yeah, and then that kind of bit him in the ass. But the point being is that during this time, and I heard the phrase, and it stuck in my mind, it was at this moment that the progressive movement was launched. That it had a Democrat, William Jennings Bryan, out there talking about the need for the federal government to intervene, break the monopolies up, to ensure the stability of, the American common good. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that should not have been considered at the time, considering what was actually going on, because there was some bad stuff going on by these guys. They were abusing people. They were taking advantage of people. Dirt wages, long hours. 1 out of 6 Americans were being killed on the job because of safety measures that didn't exist, stuff like that. But the thought that the progressive movement started at this moment. This is that moment in time when they say the progressive movement began here. And I thought, how fitting. And now we're sitting here looking at this, and it's like, at what point in time, the progressive movement's been moving ever since.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's part of their mantra. That's part of their symbology. The Fabian socialists, John. One of their emblems is a turtle.
But I thought, maybe a better way of rephrasing it would have been, at what point in history did the Republicans quit standing for what they represented?
It probably happened. I don't know. It seems to me it was about 8 years ago.
Yeah, it sure seems that way. It sure seems. It's not like, I guess the best we can figure is that, maybe the Republicans have always been this way or have been this way for a long time. But certainly with the onset of Barack Obama, everything came to full fruition, which means the Republicans have probably been sitting dormant in the meantime, ready to.
They've been that way for a long time.
Yeah.
So remember, for the longest time, the Democrats controlled Congress. You might have had an occasional Republican president, but Democrats were controlling Congress, and then all of a sudden, Republicans took control of Congress and did absolutely nothing. Now I'm talking not this latest times. This is back in the 90s.
Anyway, guys, we're out of time for today. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll continue our discussion here on the narrative and getting into some of the other aspects of what is eventually going to be the Democratic platform. We love you guys. Visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's theconservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best in uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, along with Joe Hako, signing off until next time right here at the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.